Hey everybody, I actually had this recorded and then I went back and checked just super quick to make sure nothing had changed, and guess what? Eureka, things changed. Welcome to my world and the equity markets. That's my dog, who also is saying he agrees. So, my previous post, which I have since deleted, was saying that the S&P and the NASDAQ were at all-time highs, and that the equity markets were very strong, the bond markets seemed to be stable, the volatility index was at kind of low, I think it was 15, 16, and if you remember, the VIX, the volatility index, moves inversely typically with the health of the equity market, so the VIX just says, where do I think the equity market's going to be? Like, is it going to be up and down in the near term or not? The higher the number, the more volatility. Usually we see a number between the mid-teens and then maybe 20s, 30s. I think it was a high of 60 a month or two ago when things were kind of wonky. So anyway, things were going great. Handbrake, what happened? Why am I back? I actually need to go soon. This is going to be quick. Well, Trump decided that he was just going to stop all discussions on tariffs with Canada about, I don't know, recently, in the last hour or two. Just end them. Be done. Done. Why? Well, I think he got a taste of his own medicine and he didn't like it. So, Canada announced that they were going to put I want to make sure I get this right, digital service tax on U.S. firms that would be retroactive to 2022. They announced that today. So this would hit firms like Meta, Amazon, that kind of thing. And yeah, and it's retroactive. So Trump was like, NFW, I'm out of here. I'm ending talks. Nope. You know what? You'll get a letter in the next week, along with some other countries, telling you what our reciprocal tariffs are. I'm done negotiating. So, of course, he posted on Truth Social. I'm not going to read the whole thing, okay? Because I don't have time. But here's the key. Here's the important stuff. And I'm going to read it so I get the words right. It says, we have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country, capital C, don't know why, to trade, all caps, with, including the fact that they've charged our farmers, capital F, as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the EU, which has done the same thing. We will hereby be terminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. Thank you for attention to this matter. Yeah, I mean, there's more. I read the exact words, but I kind of, So what happened? S&P lost its gains. It doesn't mean it's not important that it still hit its 52-week high or whatever, all-time high, today. That's great. But it has since retreated. The same with the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ, we always call it the tech-heavy NASDAQ because most of the stocks that make up that NASDAQ composite, healthcare like biotech, and tech companies. So if Canada is going to impose this tariff and it's retroactive and it hits the tech companies, you would think the NASDAQ would go down. Well, what about the Dow Jones? That's just kind of the big old behemoth, right? Chugging along. I think it's about 43,650 roughly. When I saw it, I think now I'm looking at 43,593, spot 77. Not bad. Not an all-time high. It was around 45,000 in December, but last December, obviously. It was at 37,000 in April. So if you happen to buy an ETF on Dow, congratulations for that gain, mid-teens gain. Yeah, so yet again, great markets. Wait, something happened. Not so great. And let's remind ourselves, there's a big date coming up, right? July 9th as it relates to tariffs. So that was the date that Trump and the administration said they were going to make final decisions on tariffs for countries. So whether that means that negotiations with places like India and China will finalize and they will, in his words, bring down trade barriers, that kind of thing. Or if there's just, as he says, a letter, hopefully not typed, that'd be archaic, but a letter stating to a country, over 200 countries, he says, what their actual tariff is, there's some finality to it. Don't we all like to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Of course we do. I hate when things drag on and you're like, when is this going to end? Think of the beginning of COVID, right? I'm not saying this is the same, but just mentally, as you think through, how can I get clarity? How can I trade? What am I going to do? There's so many different variables going on. Well, at least we have July 9th, unless things get kicked to the curb. And investors, from what I'm hearing, are saying, you know what? I believe it. July 9th is the date, if not sooner. I don't know exactly what the number of the tariff percentage on these countries will be, but at least I'll have a number, and it should stick, right? So that's what's been going on in the markets, and then this wonky thing at the end of the day. What's another thing we've been talking about? This big, beautiful bill, right? Which needs a different name. Won't get one. End of May, passed the House, sitting with the Senate. Once it passes the Senate, all that Trump needs to do is sign it, and it's on its way. This bill is a dump of everything you can imagine. Like, go big or go home. I get it. Hence the name, I guess. I don't know if I'd choose beautiful as the adjective, but here we go. So, what's going on? Let's remind ourselves of something, okay? Typically, budgets need 2/3 approval in Congress, but not when it is a reconciliation bill. So this was put forth, I won't go through all the details, as a reconciliation bill. So now it just needs a majority, 50% plus one. And the Republicans have that. Now, why is it being held up then in the Senate? Why isn't it just being passed, Amy, if Republicans have a majority? You know why? Because there's shit in there, specifically cuts to Medicaid and what used to be called food stamp system, food assistance, that even Republican delegates are saying, we can't have this. A lot of people in my states depend on Medicaid, depend on housing assistance, depend on food assistance. And if this is cut the way that it is in this bill, I am not voting for it. I don't care if I'm Republican. I'm not going to do it because my constituents, they don't want it. And to be honest, if their constituents don't want it, they're not going to get reelected, right? Let's just be honest. Let's play the political game. So they're saying NFW, I'm not signing it the way it is. So even some of the Republicans that they need to get that 50% plus one in the House are saying, in the Senate, are saying, no, not going to do it. So Trump, I guess yesterday or the day before, was like, I need all of you guys in the Senate, maybe girls, because doesn't have pronouns he recognizes. You can't take any vacation. I want you to stay here in D.C. and get it done and sign it. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, But when you have representatives from your own party waving their hand and saying, no, I can't sign this like it is. It's going to hurt the people in my states. And again, what we've talked about before, these people in the red states, it's not just red state people who use Medicare or Medicaid, give me a break. But a lot of those constituents did vote for Trump. So we're in this kind of, we'll have to see where the bill ends up. It'll be interesting, right? So that's going on. He told the senators he wanted it done before July 4th. I mean, time's ticking. Who knows? Who knows if that's going to happen or not? Another report came out today on inflation. And, we talk about inflation, prices going up, what it means for the average American. So what about this report? Was it good, bad? It's kind of where people expected it to be, okay? So core inflation. Core inflation excludes, this is important, food and energy, which you're like, Amy, that's pretty important. Well, you know what? I don't make up the definitions. Core inflation was 2.7% in May. It was a little bit higher than people thought. Not much, so there wasn't much movement in the market because of it. I'm going to call it just the regular inflation, right? That includes everything. Was at, I think, 2.3%. Now let's remind ourselves, what target does the Fed have for inflation when it starts looking at making changes in terms of cutting rates? their target is 2%. So it's a little higher than their target. Not crazy, right? But why is this a big deal? Two other things that came out of this report that are very interesting. Core spending was down slightly, 0.1%, and personal income was down 0.4%. Core spending, did I say 0.4? Anyways, 0.1 and 0.4 for the month of May. So not awesome on the consumer sentiment side, consumer spending. Not awful, but something to watch. Again, now what? Why does this matter? We talked about the Fed. Poor little Jerome Powell, right? Getting attacked left and right by Trump. Just a couple days ago, he's like, I think he's stupid. Low IQ, average mentality or whatever, intelligence. Okay, I'm going to call a spade a spade. 8 years ago, Trump nominated Jerome Powell for this position when he was president 8 years ago. And it got confirmed by the Senate. And now he's like, stupidest guy ever. Don't like him. Don't want him. Okay, this is what I think of when I hear stuff like that. So let's say that you're a kid, right? And you love strawberry ice cream. And you're just like, strawberry ice cream's the best. It's the best flavor. I would pick this flavor above any other flavor they have at this place. And you tell all your friends that strawberry's the best. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Strawberry is the best. This is great. Let's all get strawberry. We're all on board. And then, a little while later, those friends are like, strawberry sucks. I hate strawberry. I don't want strawberry. And the kid is like, strawberry? What are you talking about? Like, I never liked strawberry. Strawberry sucks. It's awful. Let's change it to vanilla. Yeah, let's do that. And you know what? I'm going to make this happen. Even though I don't really have control, I'm going to see what I can do to make sure that I surround that one strawberry container with about 4 or 5 different vanilla containers, just try to influence things a little bit. So I know that's a silly example, but that's kind of what's happening. So, Jay Powell, his term expires in May of 2026. Another year, right? So there's nothing that really can be done until then, because it's an independent body, right? But what Trump is saying he wants to do is nominate a shadow chair. So what is that? So it would probably be the person that he would nominate next year, but he's going to do it now. And his idea is, I'm going to find someone who likes vanilla ice cream, and I'm going to tell everyone that this is who I'm going to pick. And I'm doing this because I want to apply pressure to Jerome Powell because he is not cutting rates. He's not doing what I want. He's the strawberry ice cream. Don't like it anymore. So I'm going to surround you with vanilla ice cream and hope that that makes you be a little bit more vanilla. Well, newsflash, Jay Powell is one of the most independent, nonpartisan guys out there. So good luck with trying to get that strawberry to turn vanilla. It's not going to happen. But in May 2026, yeah, we'll have a change, and it'll probably be who Trump wants, right? Because he has control, his party has control of the House. So that's what's going on. And then one other thing I can't help but mention, because it brings up a funny story. So the Bezos wedding, right? I know you're going to be really surprised. I wasn't invited. What the hell, man? $50 million wedding. Say what you want. I think that money could go to other things. But, hey, his choice, right? Over 200 guests. Guess who one of those guests are? Guess who one of those guests is? Usher. Why do I mention that? So, I don't know, my previous life as a Wall Street banker, okay? I'm in New York at our headquarters. I'm in the elevator with my boss, the guy who runs all of investment banking for that firm that I worked for at the time. My phone rings. What's the ringer? What's the ringtone? It's an Usher song. And probably one of the most, just think of probably the most inappropriate Usher song you can. That's what was on there. My boyfriend at the time thought it would be funny to change my ringtone to that. So here I am at a Wall Street investment bank, Midtown. My phone rings in the elevator. My boss is right next to me, and this Usher song with like grunts and groans and all this stuff is going off, and I cannot find my fucking phone anywhere, right? On and on. That was the slowest elevator ride of my life. Now I can look back and laugh. Mortified. Anyway, on that note, everybody, if you're at the Bezos wedding, enjoy. Say hi to Usher for me. But have a good weekend. And I hope to do this more regularly over time as schedules get a little bit more in line. But, yeah, have a good weekend. Have a good weekend. Take care. Thanks for all the feedback. If there are any specific topics that you want me to delve into more deeply, I'd be happy to. Whether it's stock trading, analyzing companies' financials, anything. Let me know. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day and weekend. Ciao.